there, Stampers. It's Linda Schmidt with Stampin' with the Hounds. Thanks for joining me today. I have a fun fold card. I do like a fun fold series where I take a certain fold and then I show you different ways of doing it. And I had started this a few years ago. So there is in my, if you look in my history, I'll put the my other links to some of my videos. In my gatefold kind of fun fold series, I have a bunch of ways to do your gatefold folds. And this is another version of a gatefold, and it's been pretty popular lately. So this is called a double accordion gatefold. So you're doing two different fun folds in one card. Now it does get a little bulky, and so I do have a little tip today for you to make it not be as thick and stuff. So this one, again, it's what's called the accordion double accordion gatefold. So it looks, you know, kind of normal like your gatefold with a little center focal piece, and then when you open it up, you get that accordion look as well as your gatefold. So it's really fun. I love it. Cute. And then you can decorate the panels however you want. And then if you want to do, because there isn't a lot of space for writing, you can do like, and I'm going to show you how to do the little mini card here in the center. So that is something you can do optional, or you can just leave it as is. And then if you want, you can then just put like a quarter sheet of like our two-tone cardstock, because that's a little bit thinner, on the back if you want to have more room for writing your sentiment or anything. But this one, I thought I just made the little mini card in it. So we're going to be doing kind of a version of this one today, but I want to show you some other, a couple other samples that I did this morning. So this is using one of our brand new online exclusive, and this is actually from the whole suite items, and it is the Charming Day. Or Charming, oh my gosh, they call everything different. So there's like Floral Charm is the designer series paper. And this paper has got really pretty, of course it's flowers, so you can never have enough flowers. But it has some really pretty subtle patterns like on the back with just like leaves or the floral. And then it has a lot of nice, it's like a good summer kind of going into fall paper, I think, because it's got some really good colors in there. And I'm kind of using like Berry Burst. It's not a color I tend to use very often. And then I also have the stamp set, which I'm just looking for right now, the Charming Day stamp set. So this is a really nice one for watercoloring or using your Stampin' blends. And then it has coordinating dies, which is really nice pieces. These do, it cuts out your flowers that you've colored, and it also has a nice variety of die cuts that you can just do your own little designs with just the die cut. So there's kind of a couple leaves and some roses, and then kind of some stems for the roses and stuff. I think those are all the pieces. So but yeah, so it's a really pretty set. And then the other things that come with it, it had some nice gems, and these are nice because they're not super high. And then it also came with, in this suite, and I haven't used this yet, but it's a little bit thicker ribbon, almost like a twine, kind of braided twine on it. So I haven't used that yet, but I will. I just haven't. The card that I'm doing today, the colors didn't really go with it. And I'm trying to think, what else was in that suite? I think that was it. So the paper, the stamp set, the dies, the gems, the ribbon. I think that was all the pieces in there. So that was kind of fun. And then the other ones that I've done, so my very first one, I did all cardstock. So what I'm doing here is this accordion part is actually the two-tone cardstock, which is a little bit thinner. And then I did this layering piece here is also two-tone cardstock. And then the only really cardstock I'm using is the base, and then these little layer pieces on the outside, just to give the accordion a little bit of stability. But everything else is that two-tone cardstock or the designer series paper on it, and that does kind of help for it not to be as bulky compared to the cardstock one. And like weight-wise, this one definitely is a little bit heavier. So this was my very first one I did, and this is using that Weekend Adventure Designer Series paper, which is another online exclusive. And then the trees were from the Scenic Adventures die. And then this is a non-Stampin' Up! Die for the bear, but it was just one that I had from my scrapbooking. And then I still had some of that old Stampin' Flock. So I made my little bear, I don't know if you can see that, I made him fuzzy. It was kind of fun on it. So this again has the accordion and the card base are both in the card, made out of the cardstock. And then I did, again, you've got these, there's lots of layers on this piece. So that's another reason why I was trying to make it a little bit thinner by using that two-tone cardstock. And then again here, because I've got these 2 layers of the bear, it's a little bulky. So this one, if I made them just, this would be one that I would probably just hand give to somebody versus mailing it, unless I put it in like a bubble wrap thing, just because this would not make it through the machine. It would totally get destroyed. But still super fun, kind of a nice masculine kind of card with that weekend adventure. So that was my very first one that I did. And then this morning I was just kind of playing around. I was using the Arched Wishes, which is another online exclusive. That's this, the little cupcake. And then this is some of our new Boho Vibes Designer Series paper. It comes in a 6x6 little pack. And it has some really kind of fun, like boho, you know, kind of patterns in there with like rainbows and everything. So it's kind of a nice, kind of a fun, neutral. I mean, you can use it for a lot of things too. But I do kind of like the colors on there. And again, I'm using Daffodil Delight, not a color I tend to grab. So it gets me out of my comfort zone. And then there are dies, they're kind of like a rainbow die. And I just did a little bit of accent pieces on the inside here. But otherwise, this is the Arched Wishes stamp set, which is, let's see here, I thought I had that still sitting out. Or maybe not. Oh, here it is. So this is that online exclusive one. So it's kind of fun. There's no dies for that one, so you do have to fussy cut the cupcake and the balloon. But yeah, so this is one. So then I tied in with those little Sunshine Vibes dies with my rainbow to tie it in with the paper and everything. So yeah, and again, this is the two-tone cardstock on my accordion part, and then I just have the cardstock on the outer parts just to give this a little bit of stability. So it's not, I mean, it's not flimsy, but it just, when people grab it, it's not bending as easily. And then again, the right goes in and then the left goes on top. Super fun. And then I just did some of the elements on there just to kind of give it some frosting look on there. And then I just did a little die on the back when I sign it and everything. So yeah, it's a fun fold. So we are going to get started. So let's see here. We need to get some of this stuff out of the way. So again, we're going to be doing a version of this one, but we're just changing up the colors. So instead of the Berry Burst, we're going to use one of the new in colors, the Timid Tiger. And then I think that's my only new in color. I think the rest of this is like Misty Moonlight and stuff. So, all right. So what you're going to need for your supplies. So this does have a lot of pieces. I'm just going to warn you now. Your card base. Now this is just normal cardstock. So this is my Misty Moonlight. It needs to be 5.5 by 9.5 inches long. And then we're going to score. And I'll show you how to do that because this is what's going to become our gatefold. That becomes a gatefold card. The accordion piece, so this is where I'm using the two-tone cardstock. So one side is a little bit lighter, so this is Misty Moonlight, and then the opposite side is just a tad darker. So you can see it's just a little bit thinner. I mean, it's kind of like designer series paper, but it has a little bit more weight with it. So that piece, if you're doing, it's going to be 3 inches by 10 5/8. And then we're going to score on that, and that's what becomes our accordion. And then I like to use either designer series paper or another quarter sheet of the two-tone cardstock, and that's going to become our inside this piece here. And again, I did two-tone cardstock on this one just to keep it a little bit thinner. So that's going to be 4 by 5 1/4. That's going to go on the inside. And then it's totally optional, but I like to do The panels for the gatefold on the outside and the inside, I like them decorated. So you don't have to do the inside if you don't want to, but if you're going to do all 4, you're going to need 4 pieces of designer series paper or 2-tone cardstock. And these are going to be 1 7/8 wide by 5 1/4 inches long. And again, I'm kind of doing that floral charm. So I've got, it's the same piece. I'm just doing one. I'm going to do the solid on the one front, or and then maybe the pattern on the inside. I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do yet. But again, you'll need 4 of those. Then for your accordion panels, so you're going to need 4 that are kind of your pattern paper or your cardstock. And these are going to be 1 7/8 by 2 3/4 inches. And this one I kind of did a variety because I wasn't quite sure what my outside panels, what color I was going to do. So I've got Timid Tiger and then I've got Misty Moonlight, but I haven't decided which one I'm going to use yet. And these I've already run them through the this is another online exclusive. Pressed Flowers is one of our new folders, so it's kind of a nice, and it's one of our thinner ones, so it's not a 3D one. So that's what I've kind of done on these. So this is Timid Tiger, which is the new in color, and then Misty Moonlight. So I haven't decided what I'm doing, but so 2 of those. And then I've got 2 of my designer series paper. And again, these are all going to be the same size. So again, 4 to 5 pieces, 1 7/8 by 2 3/4. And that's all for your accordion. Then if you want to do the little card on the inside, otherwise you can just do another one of these pieces. It doesn't really matter. That is going to be 1 7/8 wide again by 5 1/2 inches long, and then we're just going to fold it in half, and that's what's becoming our little mini card. And then if you want to decorate, do a layer on top of that, that one is going to be just a 1/4 inch smaller, so that'll be 1 7/8. I'm sorry, no, this needs to be, it would need to be narrower. Oh no, this is for if you didn't want to do the mini card. Sorry, I got the wrong piece here. So yeah, 1 7/8 by 5 1/2 if you're doing the mini card, and then that's folded in half. And then this would be for layering on top of this. So that would be 1 5/8 by 2 1/2. And that again is optional. That's the mini card. Otherwise, if you don't want to do the mini card, then your center piece here would be 1 7/8 by 2 3/4. It's the same size as these other panels. So kind of give you options on what you want to do there. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and let's get scoring. So we're going to score on our accordion and our card base. I'm just going to move all this stuff out of the way. And we'll do that first. All right, so on our card base, again, this was 5 1/2 by 9 1/2. We're going to score on the long side. And I found it was just easier if you just go 1/2 inch and then 2 5/8 and then rotate it and do the same dimensions on the other side. I just found that was a little bit easier. So we're going to do 1/2 inch and 2 5/8. And then I'm just going to rotate it and do the same thing. 1/2 inch and 2 5/8. Okay, so that was your card base. Now let's go ahead and do our accordion. So again, this is the 2-tone cardstock. So I think when I'm doing this, I kind of want, I think I'm going to want to see the lighter side. Yeah, I think I'll do the lighter. All right, maybe I'll do the darker side showing, because then that'll come in. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to see the darker side. So again, this is 3 inches by 10 5/8. Now we're going to score 2 1/8 and 4 1/4, and then do the same thing. Rotate it and then score at 2 1/8 and 4 1/4. Same thing. All right, so now we're going to do 2 1/8. And again, the two-tone cardstock, you want to be a little bit more gentle when you're scoring because it's not as thick as cardstock. Okay, and then let's rotate it and do the same thing, 2 1/8 and 4 1/4. All right, so that is all of your scoring. So we'll get this out of the way. Oh, before I do that, I do want to, just because I don't want to cut. So you're going to need to make tabs. And so when you see the two-tone cardstock, it's a little bit easier to, or if you're doing the two different colors of cardstock, it's easier to see. So this is our card base. We're going to just cut down so that we're making this little tab for the accordion piece to attach to. So again, if you want to keep your, now this one I did keep them pretty similar. I'm using the same, Misty Moonlight for both of my card base and my accordion, but you don't have to. You can totally change it. Like this one I did Early Espresso for the accordion, and then my card base was Berry Burst. So you will see, I mean, again, you don't really see it because it's kind of like from the back end, but you would see where that tab is that you're cutting. So totally optional. I mean, I just kind of like to have a little bit of the contrast so it wasn't so matchy-matchy. So to make the tabs, you're basically, you're kind of eyeballing it. I tend to go down, so I'll kind of show you. So I look at, this is my center panel, and I'm laying this so that this center piece is somewhat centered in my card. And you're really going to be going down, what is this? I kind of do like an inch, 1.25 inches, I think it ends up being. You can even go down maybe a little bit farther. So if we went down 1.5 inches, yeah, about an inch and a half. So see where this, I want to do this before I fold these. So the side that's kind of indented, I'm going to put that in to my cutting part, and I am just going to cut down about 1, so there's 1 inch, because I'm kind of looking at where my little line is here, and I'm going to stop right here at 1.5. So I'm just cutting that, and then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go up about 1.5 inches. So there's like a half, and then we'll just kind of, and then I just do a little spot check and see if I need to come up just a titch more on the bottom here. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing, and then these we're just going to cut off. So just put this over again so that that score line is in your cutting, and then I'm just kind of cutting down about 1.5 inches, and I'm going to do the same thing coming up from the bottom. There's a 1/2 inch, and there's 1. And then I just freehand snip with my scissors. I'm just looking for my better scissors here. So these now are going to come off. Now I do tend to cut this at an angle to make it look like a tab. Okay, and then do the same thing on the other side. So we're just gonna cut at an angle. Might have gone too far down on that one, but that's okay. It'll work still. All right, so those are our pieces. Those can just get tossed. All right, so now we've got those little tabs that our accordion will fit onto. So now we want to bring in our gatefold. So I'm going to bring in, you're going to score on that second score line, or yeah, score on your second score line. Back, and then your tabs, you're going to fold back. And I just want to, real quick here. cutting blade was not probably. It's about time to replace my blade. There we go. Okay, there's the one side. We'll do the same thing on the other one. Bring this one in as a valley fold. The tab is going to come back as a mountain fold. And then I just kind of look at my gatefold just to make sure my center pieces are meeting together, just to give that a good burnish. And then these are going to be coming back. All right, so that is your gatefold with the tabs. Okay. Just looking at my, yeah, I still need time to put a new blade on the paper cutter. A nail file is more for your use on cardstock and your nails. But it does help sometimes get those little fuzzies off. Okay, so that's the card base. All right, now for the accordion piece. So again, yeah, I want to see the blue, the lighter shade. So on this one, again, you're kind of thinking of, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're going to come in, I come in first on the second one, and I make that one a mountain fold. Then, or I'm sorry, a valley fold, because we're coming in. Then this one is going to come back as a mountain fold. So you're kind of getting that Z. And then this one, again, I'm going to fold in first here as a valley. And then I'm going to bring this one back. And I want to make sure my edges are meeting. And I'll give this a good burnish. And then again, you're getting that little, what do you want to call it, like an M? Kind of like a W with a square top on it, on there. So this is going to become your center. That's what's going to be glued on there. So again, if you wanted that darker, see how it really matches, but I want to have a little bit of a contrast. So I'm going to keep my lighter side up, and then we're going to attach, we'll put glue here, and then you're going to put glue on that center piece. And that's how it'll all get attached, and then it kind of comes in like so. But let's go ahead and put some of our panels on first. So we're going to first work on the inside. I'm going to take that quarter sheet of designer series paper. So this is 4 by 5 1/4. And I was thinking, I think I do want to keep, yeah, I'm going to keep this side up. So we'll go ahead and attach this one on the inside. Yeah, we spent, we finally put mulch down in our front yard and all of it. We had so much mulch. We had to go up to the store twice. I'm like, oh, I think we should get more. And Jeff's like, oh, no, we'll be fine. I'm like, no, we still had to go up and get four more bags. But, I mean, it was a little toasty yesterday, but today it's worse. And I'm so glad we got all that done yesterday. But, oh, my gosh, I am sore. Who knew that mulching and gardening could be quite the workout? But, yeah, my legs and my back are killing me today. All right, so that's the inside panel. So now I want my other layering pieces. So these were, we already had 4 of them. They were 1 7/8 by 5 1/4. And I was going to do on the, let's see here, I gotta make sure I'm matched up here, because when I did cut it, I was cutting in order. There we go. Or no. I got these out of order. one matching? No, it's not. What the heck? Is that it? Oh, there we go. There's my match. I guess it doesn't really matter, but it does to me in my world. All right, so I am going to, let's see here. I'm going to keep the pattern because I'm going to have, yeah, so we'll have this one be on the left. Wow, I'm having a heck of a time with this adhesive today. Okay, let's see here. There we go. So this is going to go on the left side. And then this will go on the right. And then again, I like to decorate the inside one as well. But if you don't want to add, you know, additional layers, you can definitely, you don't have to decorate the inside panels. All right, so we're going to open it up. Now we're going to do these. And for this one, I'm going to do the Timid Tiger showing. Well, and for those of you, last week we had a major scare with little Miss Ezera, our 13-year-old Greyhound. Her mouth, she was bleeding. Oh my gosh, it was like a crime scene. There was so much blood, and we don't know what she did, but it was like non-stop bleeding coming out of her mouth. And so we rushed her to the vet, and again, they couldn't even figure it out either. We were there for, well, it was a long night, but she is super anxiety ridden when it comes to being in a car and then being at the vet. And so she wouldn't lay down, she wouldn't relax, and you know, she's got arthritis, and oh my gosh, she was just a horrible thing. But anyway, they gave us this like Chinese herb, and it was crazy. Like, it stopped the bleeding, and then she had to be on that for several days, and you know, so now, I mean, she's fine, but oh my God, that was just, it was scary. But yeah, you know, the vet was like, ugh, you know, I was under 1,000, so hey. But yeah, that kind of took a hit to the pocketbook. All right, so now for the accordion. All right, I know this is where you just have to, because these outer ones are what you're going to see on the front. So I'm thinking, because I've got so much blue, I am going to go ahead and do this Timid Tiger on the outside ones. So when you open it up, we're going to go ahead and we're going to attach the cardstock panels on these outside, the outside ones. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And this I am going to glue just because I sometimes find when you've embossed or with a folder that using a liquid glue, which now I got to find where oh, here, works a little bit better so you don't tear the cardstock. Yeah, so then after that, of course, then she was like, her leg kind of swelled up and then she was limping. I was like, oh my God, now what's wrong with her? But we wound up putting some of that arnica oil on and just wrapping it and icing it, and she's fine now. But oh my gosh, I mean, she's 13. I mean, I know my time is limited with her, but she is the last of our 4-pack. When I say Stampin' with the Hounds, I used to have 4 Greyhounds all. It was Kira, Quinlan, 2 Legit, and then Ezera. And Ezera is she's the last remaining Hound from that 4-pack. So it's just like, oh gosh, they're my kids. They're my babies. So, okay, so now that's coming together. Fun. Okay, so then my other panels, then I will, so I'm not going to be using these other ones that I had die cut. but this is going to be too much orange. So now I'm going to go ahead and do these here. So it'll kind of tie in with the front of the card. So these are going to go on the next two panels. And then this is your center one. So I am going to do that mini card. All right, so there's our little accordion. Okay, so for the mini card, so again, this was a 1 7/8 by 5 1/2. I've already scored it at 2 3/4 in the middle. So I'm just going to, and this is the two-tone basic beige. So one side's a little bit darker and the other side's lighter. So I think I want the darker side showing. So I'm just going to fold this in half. And then that's going to be attached right in the center. So I'm just putting glue on the back side of it. So this is just like a little card just to give you a little bit more room for writing. And then I want to layer on top of this. So this is just a little bit smaller. It's 1 5/8 by 2 1/2. And on this one, I am going to keep the orange, the Timid Tiger, as my focal. And let's see which is right side up. There we go. Yeah, and again, so even with those, with those layerings, you know, I don't have too much bulk, which is good compared to if I had done this all in cardstock. Okay, then to attach it, what I found was easiest is I'm going to go ahead and close it up. So if you have your card open, put this as kind of like right in, you know, just hold it in the center. And then you're going to basically kind of pinch these, holding these together, bring this one in, and then you're left. And then actually, let's refold this a little bit. I'm a little off on my fold here. Just a titch. I just want to line that up a little bit better. There we go. Okay, so keeping this in the center, I'm just going to grab my tab. I'm going to bring this in, bring this one in. And then this is where you can just eyeball it. And I just want to make sure I am, stand up and see, so make sure I'm centered. So that looks good. Okay, and then I'm just going to hold this. You can grab some, like, yeah, let's do that just to be on the safe side. If you want to just grab some low tack tape. And then what I'm doing is I'm just kind of holding this bottom one down while I putz around. So then what you want to do is you want to lift this up. And then where that tab is, keeping it down, you're going to put glue right on the tab. Or you can use tear and tape, but it's just going right on the tab. And then you're just going to attach the card right on top of that. So then when you open it, now it's attached. And because this is that same color as the tab, you know, you don't see the tab showing. Okay. Now, before you do the other side, you want to, because I did it when I first did this, I forgot to put glue on the center part. So then I was like, oh, it's flopping around. So make sure your next thing you want to do is then you want to put glue on the center part of it. So again, I'm just going to lift this up. I'm just going to put glue on that center part. And then this is where I keep it folded again, just because it just makes it a little bit easier. So this side is all down. And then that way your center part is attached. Okay, so we got that side in. Now we want to bring this other gatefold with our tab, bring this in. You're going to go ahead and you can put, let's see here, I want to make sure I'm going this way. Oh yeah, I did tuck that one. So I did. Sorry, I just want to make sure I'm... Yeah, okay. So keeping this, so the tab is here. I don't know if you can see because I didn't have the two-tone. We're going to put the glue on the tab. Then bring this other piece down to attach it. And now it is attached to the card. So you've got, you can see the tab, so it's kind of hard to see, but you can see the tabs kind of down in here. Now on the other ones, I had my tabs going, I kind of, now that I realize this, I should have folded these in so you wouldn't see the berry burst. But either way, so, you know, if you did it this way too, it still works. It still, card still closes and opens and everything. So, but yeah, it looks like I did it correctly this time on it. So anyway, so that's the accordion. Super fun. I mean, it's super cute. I love it. And we got our little mini card. So now the fun part, as always, is to do all the decorating. So I did already kind of colored everything. So coming, I used that Charming Day flower, the stamp set. So I've already die cut and colored this. I did for my Stampin' blends, I did Timid Tiger, Cajun Craze, and a little bit of Peach Pie for my roses. And then for the leaves, I did the Mossy Meadow and just a little bit of the Old Olive, just the light. Just to give it a little bit of contrast. And then because these are Stampin' blends, I then did another layer of the two-tone cardstock behind it in the basic beige, just so that you wouldn't see the ink bleeding through. So I always like to bring in the right side first and then bring in the left. And the left side is the one that I'm going to attach my flowers to that left side. So when you open it, the flowers stay on this side. So I just, on this one, I'm just going to kind of guesstimate. I'm just really only going to put the glue kind of in the center of this because my leaves and stuff are kind of hanging over. So let's hold that down. And I might can go a little bit more glue here. And let's put a little bit more glue apart. There we go. So that's attached. So anytime you're going over, just make sure that it's not going over the main part of the card on there. Okay, and then my other piece, I just have the other flower colored, and I just did the same thing on that one. And so on this one, you don't want anything overhanging unless you've got it lined up exactly, kind of like what I did on the bear. I made sure that both of my bears, when they closed, were lined up together. So if you want to do that, you can. But this one, this is just going to stay on the inside, so I'm just going to glue this bad boy down. there's that. And then for my center part, I'm going to do, let's see here. I was going to do maybe one of these die cuts, but I wonder if I did. I guess I could trim it if I wanted to, but let's see here. No. Maybe I'll just do this with the rose. And then I am going to, just because this is kind of long, I'm just going to snip this because I only want part of this leaf. So I can just kind of do that. And then I should be able to, I just have the thank you stamp, and this is actually from the Textured Notes. This is another online exclusive, but I'm using that sentiment and then this little sentiment for the inside with it. So that's another nice one. Because I really didn't, the ones that came with this stamp set are more like birthday related, and I really didn't want a birthday. I have a quite a few thank you cards I've got to get out this month. So, okay. So let's put our little flower. Let's see, how did I do the other? I did bring it down here more. Yeah, we'll do it like that. Perfect. Okay, and then my thank you, since I did the blue, I think I will put this in the Cajun Craze. So I'm going to ink this up the same with Cajun Craze. So before I glue my flower down, I just want to make sure I've got my saying in here. Go. And then I can glue my flower. Yeah, 4th of July weekend, this weekend. I'm like, oh my gosh, summer is going to be gone, because then the rest of this month I am traveling for work for like 2 weeks straight. I go from Madison, Wisconsin to Honolulu, Hawaii. I'm like home for a day, and then I fly out to Honolulu for our, we have a convention that we're putting on. So yeah, it's like, oh my gosh. All right, now my inside, I was going to do the little note of appreciation. I'll just keep this in the Cajun Craze since I have the ink pad out. And put this in the center. Perfect. Fun. And then let's add, so these came with it, but I don't know, I guess we could do that petal pink. That came in. These aren't too bulky. Let's see what that looks like. Let's see. we'll just use these since they're out. And then I did on my other one, just because it was a sequence, I did do some on this side, but since these are not, these have got a little bit more bulk to them, I'm just going to do just keep the ones on the front on there. All right, so that is it. That is the double gatefold, or double accordion gatefold card. Super fun, with a little mini card on the inside. So again, if you don't want to do that mini card, you can always put a quarter sheet of that two-tone cardstock on the back if you wanted to have a little bit more room for your sentiment and stuff. So anyway, that is it. Thank you again for joining me and Ezera in the stamp room today. Since it's the 4th of July weekend, I'm not quite sure, you know, we've got getting together with friends and stuff like that, so I don't know how much I'll be in the stamp room, but if there is a fun fold or another technique that you would like for me to show you how to do, drop me a comment. I do appreciate everyone that does comment and watch and subscribes. And otherwise, have a safe and happy 4th of July weekend, and I will stamp again with you soon. Have a great and creative day. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.